So this is going to be an intuitive video. Welcome to the Watcher's Alchemy. My name's Ryan. So the best advice you're going to get for 2025, or maybe the best advice you're going to get for 2026 is, here in 2025, be wary of productivity that you see, progress that you see, building, constructing, building new mind frames, new lives, new physical worlds. Because in that building and all that progress, later on, I would say probably around April to May of 2026, we're going to find that a lot of that progress was hiding secrets and there were bigger operations building underneath. So wherever you think that might resonate for you, just be very wary and definitely don't be caught off guard in 2026. But for the meantime, in this video, I wanted to intuitively talk about and channel information that I understand about the illusion of appearance and reverse aging. Not the illusion of reverse aging, but the manifestation of reverse aging and the illusion of appearance. Okay, so however that title is going to end up coming out. Hopefully somebody watches the video. So we're going to channel this information, and keep in mind, I would not be able to channel this information if I was not presented with little bits of facts, little provable facts along my own path, which is what we call gnosis. When your mind and your emotions interact with facts and archetypes in the world, or in your physical world, your resonance field produces gnosis, or excuse me, you produce gnosis. Your resonance field produces results and facts. Anyways, this is a very intuitive video, and I just started sipping on my coffee. I mixed my my cinnamon sugar creamer into this regular McDonald's coffee, which I don't normally go to McDonald's, but their coffee has a lot of caffeine, and I haven't had any coffee in a while. Now, I didn't prepare for this video, so if I just so happen to look younger, which I probably don't, hence why I didn't prepare, that's just a coincidence. So, but okay, so it's hard to say. So what I want to do is when it comes to reverse aging, which I've talked about before in my other video, I believe it was the bigger picture explained in 58 minutes. I talk about applying simple philosophy of reverse aging. But in this video, I'm going to have to go a little deeper and talk about the illusion of appearance, because appearance actually changes from moment to moment based on, all kinds of given factors. And depending on what's in your resonance field and what valences you're perceiving life, you'll only get little tidbits and little twists of this philosophy. You have to embody a higher dimensional perception to be able to see the consistencies or lack thereof of consistencies in the law of appearance, or how people physically appear in your world. So this kind of gets, when you embody the gnosis of the illusion of appearance and reverse aging, you start to realize why people change, and you start to realize that the mind actually initially will always try to solidify its perspective on appearance, or its valence on appearance. But somebody's face can change very rapidly in a short amount of time, to the point where you could be looking at them 1 second, turn around, and all of a sudden you're seeing something completely different. Now, the magician, or the magically adept, or a person who has mastered their quantum mind, knows how to use this as a tool to create valences, temporary valences, for people to perceive life through. And once those valences go away, because they're not permanent, once the magician can create a valence for somebody, knowingly or unknowingly, hence why they're a magician. And once the valence goes away, then awareness starts to notch up in the person because they start to realize that things are not always what they seem. So appearance is, or the illusion of appearance, is one way for the magician to use sleight of hand in order to create conscious awareness in other people around them. So you can probably kind of already kind of see um, fourth dimensionally, I guess you can say, on how that might actually present itself. You know, the sleight of hand, um, the smoke and mirrors, and even facial expressions. Natural facial expressions can change the way a person feels, or maybe projecting emotions can change the way a person actually is perceived by the emotions of others, or by the optical nerve of others. It's weird. Anyways, so 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 we know that appearance can be an illusion. So what we need to do is harness this illusion. And so this gets into the dynamics I speak of, and working the different dimensions, the perceptual dimensions. So your 1D is your self, your body, and your presence. So how that might interpret into the illusion of appearance, or let's just say the illusion of appearance isn't just what you're not seeing. It's also what you're constructing. So this gets into reverse aging. You're trying to construct uh, the physical manifestation of reverse aging in a consistent way. So that's how this is relative. So your first dimension, your first dynamic is yourself, your body, and your presence. So as far as your body is concerned, to save time, because I don't normally talk about this too much, you want to simply take care of yourself. Now, I am about to be 43, and I fool a lot of 20-year-olds, 24-year-olds, which is very annoying in my resonance field because I am older. But, it's like, a person who's 20, this happens a lot. A person who's like between like 20, 24 will inquire on me, on my person, until they find out that I'm actually a lot older, and then that kind of rubs them wrong, and obviously it rubs me wrong too, because it's like I'd rather present myself and be uh, I'd rather someone more my age be curious about me, or someone with so I'll just say it plain simple. Someone with an evolved mind, who's more my age, something that makes more sense and is more common sense. But for my example, because I've committed and embodied reverse aging, or the illusion of reverse aging, that is as a tool that it helps a lot of people who inquire realize that things aren't always what they seem, and then I don't really benefit from it because it's kind of like, hey, can I just attract somebody my own age, or even regular everyday friends. um I am I am just different. I'm not part of the newer generation. It just happens to be that way. As much as I would love to adapt in this philosophy of reverse aging, I can only reverse age so much, to where it becomes just very not real. Um, but the physical manifestation has a lot of benefits, because as part of that first dynamic and taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, you start to realize as you climb in higher awareness that you have communication with all your cells in your DNA. So you can literally instruct your DNA what blossoms out of it, what is already in there, just like it is. So your DNA is reflecting your resonance field, and vice versa. So you can figure out the components of your first dynamic, yourself and your core, of what is going to activate that part of your DNA, hence activating simultaneously in synchronicity what's in your resonance field to bring that in. So if you want to bring in relationships, or if you want to bring in jobs, if you want to bring in whatever, you already have the potential already inside of you in your DNA. And so all you have to do is work that first dimension, that first dynamic, through meditations, through locational exercises, like I explained in my other videos, and committing to it. Doing your shadow work, that's very important. That's one of the biggest components for exercising your first dynamic, to getting to that core reflection of that pure light, is to see what's in your shadow and to exercise that out through shadow work, and go through the ascension symptoms, your processes of alchemy. Notice how I don't ever talk about alchemy. I don't really need to, because all these things help you alchemize your life and become that butterfly. So, so your physical body is very relevant. So for example, when I was coming up in my life, the first years of my life, I love telling this story, and I don't ever get a chance to tell it. How I didn't eat meat, or I didn't eat beef, and I didn't eat chicken regularly from the age of like 7 years old to 18 or 19 years old. And so the first, obviously that has a, that's an effect on a child's metabolism, or a young person's metabolism, when it's consistent like that. Only getting minimum animal proteins, but mostly being vegetarian. And when I first decided to eat meat, it was the bacon cheeseburger from Jack in the Box. Not to be mistaken with the ultimate bacon cheeseburger, or the bacon ultimate cheeseburger, whatever it was called, that doesn't have lettuce on it. Back in the day, kids, you missed out on the bacon cheeseburger, which had whole leaf lettuce and I think it even had a sesame seed bun. That thing rocked, and it was the first thing I ate after being vegetarian for most of my life. And oh man, I remember I just couldn't stop going and getting that burger until they finally gave it up. They gave Jack in the Box gave up their best burger, the bacon cheeseburger. Look it up. That thing was, yeah, I can still taste it. That's how amazing it was. And then when they got rid of that, everything aside from their nasty tacos started to suck. And the tacos are only good when you mix the sauces and dip them in the sauces. Anyways, talking about fast food while I'm talking about reverse aging and taking care of your body. Now, I'm allowed to, because I do. I take care of my body, except for the fact that I'll go through these periods where I smoke, and then I'll quit smoking for like a year or more, and then I'll just be like, okay, I feel good now. I'm gonna smoke again. I gotta stop, and it's coming. It's coming. I'll do it eventually. But over the consistency of the long haul, is I've taken care of my body. So I've allowed my body, and been in tune with my body, and been in tune with my first dynamic, my first dimensional self. Um, and so that has allowed that gate to open up, to allow reverse aging. That's all it is you're just allowing it to happen. You're clarifying your cells, you're clarifying your DNA, you're bringing out your potential, you're exercising the affirmations and the psychological what to do's about evolution in your alchemy, and you just get it done. I'm being very vague because there's so many great exercises you can learn out there. I don't need to teach them, because there's so many amazing spiritual professors and spiritual teachers, Dumbledores out there of the world, that that are hitting it right on the mark. And all you got to do is just follow their advice. Your intuitive self will lead you on to exactly what path that is. And so that's how I talk. That's why I talk vague, because I understand that already. Your path lies out there. I don't have to create one for you. But in its way, my philosophy is sort of a path. So there's a lot of things that people cannot explain that I have physical proof of. So me not being the most educated in the world, I'm able to clarify some of this stuff for myself. I'd love to clarify it for you if it resonates with you. So that was your first dimension. So your first dimension, yourself, your presence, you are affirming that that self is always youthful, and you are getting rid of all that extra psychological baggage. And and it's kind of like shadow work. Every time it pops up, you're aware of it, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm not. It's a confirmation. Every time the hesitation, the that reverse affirmation pops up in your head, that should be a clarification. That should be a clarification, and that in itself is a quantum affirmation. And so there's a future you that is telling you, yes, this is true about everything. That is true in your resonance field. That is true in your DNA, and that is, when I say resonance field, I mean that of which you will experience and have the potential of experience without overstepping the boundaries into delusion and things that are outside of your valence. Like if you're a person that is missing an arm, you are going to do things that that only a person that is missing an arm will do in magic or in your life, or whatever the circumstance may be to your physical nature. I have a damaged spine. Okay, I have a twice damaged spine. Actually, it's like three times damaged. Three times damaged spine. So I will be limited to the world and valence of a person that has a three times damaged spine. I'm not going to live in a delusion where I feel my magic is going to just fix this. Instead, I'm going to understand that it is a lesson from my resonant field on this echo that is mixed in with the karmic energies that is teaching me something that I need to adapt to, so that at the end of the peak of my life, I can blossom out to the extension that I can, not being delusional and saying, oh, I'm going to join pro wrestling because I'm so awesome and this and that, because I did martial arts back in the day and I'm a martial arts master. Or I'm going to, because I was a martial arts master, I'm going to go and be a tough guy out on the street and not be humble. No, I could very easily get hurt. I could very easily, lose the the operation of the feeling in my legs, if I make a wrong move in my life. So it's a learning lesson, okay? And it helps to bring that high energy ego down into humbleness and humility, which helps me with my seventh dynamic. So if you follow my videos, if you go through and you catch the little tidbits of me talking about the different dynamics and the different perceptions of these dimensions, you'll understand that we have to work out everything all the way up to 9 and 10 and 11. We have to be consistent. We have to be disciplined. But it really, the illusion of appearance is all about your presence, your attitude, and the care of your body, and then the intuitive nature of you and your body, to be in tune with it. So second, I don't talk about second dimension too much, because that is mostly worked out through your meditation and your shadow work. Okay, everything that is not you and everything that needs to be clarified. Your second dimension is that field where you're pretty much just the hard-working field. You're just constantly working it out, even when you're not paying attention to yourself too much. Your intuitive nature and the universe itself will show you signs in your physical world, people and things around you coming into your optical valence, and trying to teach you things subtly as you go about your day. That is all two-dimension. When you realize that it is resonating with you, or that applies to your awareness. Your third dimensional world has an ability, or excuse me, the fourth dimensional world has an ability to influence the third dimensional world into a structure where we think it is so consistent and never changes. But that is not true. And so you will see things changing. We're talking about people now. This is the easiest thing to see in people. So one way to see how people's people's perception can change, but our ego and our subconscious constantly tries to reaffirm that things stay the same. So this is why visually speaking, things become kind of bland in a relationship. When you see the same person over and over, but you realize that person is aging, Now, your projection on that person has a lot to do with this because this is your world, this is your resonance field. So if you're not nurturing it with the proper affirmations, yes, things will get bland and things will age. So I hope I don't have to speak too much on that. You can kind of like get that light bulb going off in your head. It's like, wow, if I'm constantly, yeah, being dissatisfied with the fact that things are, let's just say, unpredictable, then I don't have the ability to uh, project an influence that is productive, like sustaining age. Now you have to open up your mind and realize that the universe will just show you, since it's your resonance field, it's different, that it'll show you this in certain unique ways. Like, so maybe the physical nature of your partner or whatever won't age, or your parents, maybe even your parents, if you're trying to keep your parents from reverse aging, the physical nature won't change, but their attitude in their youth and maybe even their approach to life might change somewhere down the line. And so to think that that will never happen is another way that the mind tricks itself into thinking that we are constantly stuck. So I hope, leave me a comment down below if you need me to reflect. I'll make a separate video. I don't want to stay on that topic too much, but it's how we project. I was just telling a worker at the Walmart. It's perfect synchronicity. I just happened to tell him how perfect the parking lot was, because he was a parking lot worker. How perfect and everything was every time he is there, and how I noticed that every single time. And he was like, "Oh, well, it's such a coincidence that you mentioned that, because my employers tell me the exact opposite." And so I had to have a whole conversation with him about this valence, and how a simple exercise of just reflecting on it and knowing that the truth is what those angels say about it. Like, I was acting in as an angel for him, saying, no, this is actually the reality of it, is that every time you're around, your presence is amazing. You acknowledge everybody, you're engaging, and this parking lot looks amazing. It's just an example. That is the universe trying to tell you what is emanating from your core. It's not all that other flighty, fighty stuff that annoys you and tries to get you to question yourself. No, you are perfection. That just needs to be clarified and come out. That's all that is. So to to understand that psychologically, to affirm that constantly, and to do that affirmation shadow work that we were just talking about, that helps you to build the quantum stability, where that future self is constantly reverberating back to you that, yes, this is true. And that helps clarify from your core. Think of it that way, is that's the radiation it's creating. Like, the affirmations are the quantum radiation from your core, boom, 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 and then from the future self, boom, 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 and then in the center there is the actual physical result. So you use this with reverse aging. So, and like I'm alluding to, is that reverse aging isn't just a personal thing. Reverse aging is something that you project on other people too. So this is where we start to get into the different reasons why people's faces change. So one thing that I've learned is that when you meet somebody, before you have reached common ground, you appear a certain way to each other. But if there is something in your if there's something that your valence wants to show you, that your resonance field is producing in the physical world, or maybe even in the archetypal world, like, say, beliefs, political, religious, um, social, just these structures that come up. Oh, I believe in that. Or maybe it's a social cue where they start off a conversation talking about, I don't know, like, they just want to talk about astrology, or they just want to talk about drinking, or they just want to talk about drugs or something. These are common things that people kind of just come out with, and it speaks a lot about their person. Not judging them, it just sort of shows you what road you're about to consciously go down with this person. So once we've established those things, and then our mind heart coherence starts to work with the information, the next time we see that person, their face changes. You have to notice those cues. And some of that is synchronicity, because the person can change their hair color, or the style of their hair. The person can can shave their face or maybe grow out their hair, their facial hair, in synchronicity with uh, the activity of your mind heart coherence, changing your perception of this person. So it's very easy for a person to, by saying something or maybe just introducing some kind of mannerism or something, that triggers that. And so all of a sudden we will physically see their face different. So if we are in control of that, and we are really seeing the person for how they are and not putting judgmental valences over them, and we're seeing what the universe is actually trying to teach us, we can prevent those kind of illusions from manifesting, from changing. And we can see them consistently, and we can see them exactly how they are, more closer to proximity to when we first come into contact with them, when our resonant field manifests them into our reality. And so this is very helpful with people who have a long-term contract with us in our resonance field, who are there longer. We can't seem to get rid of them. Sometimes these are coworkers, sometimes these are bosses, and sometimes these are just people that we happen to fall in love with, and then over time we sort of just develop this sort of toxic relationship with them, but for some reason we can't get rid of them. Now, let me know down in the comments if you can relate with that, or leave me a thumbs up. So, if you've ever experienced that in your life. So we can kind of see now how our physical world is either controlled, or it's illusionary, it's malleable, in the way that we perceive the changing features of somebody in our own perception. Because we should already know that everything is not consistent and everything changes, especially for the benefit, okay, for evolution's sake. And so our perfect perception, when we first of our ego's perception, is that things are perfect and that they will always remain perfect. And that is where you get that subconscious narcissistic trait that constantly doesn't get you to see that things are supposed to change, and instead you just you emotionally reflect that things are changing. Oh, I just don't feel the same. Well, in your subconscious, or maybe just behind your breath, you may be falling victim to these delusions that, oh, you always expected that person to be handsome or beautiful or stay young forever or something like that. That is actually not what reverse aging is in totality. When you've mastered all that, it might take a couple lives, who knows? When you don't attach too much to it and you've actually mastered it, it will reflect, it will be part of your resonance field, and you will go down that path, and it'll be like a very non-resistant thing. So, but that comes with karma. That comes with a different flip side. There's a flip side to everything. Do you think my world is great because I've had to live most of my life being perceived by other people? That I'm actually half my age. No, that is, if I could give that thing up, I probably would, but it's my life path to be able to experience it. It's my life path to be able to express both sides, and not just be a voice that eagers for reverse aging. It has a middle ground understanding, this non-dualistic understanding of the pros and the cons. And if I did not have the concept embedded in me, in my resonance field, of reverse aging and understanding what it is and how to do it, I probably would have taken care of my body better, in the long run. I would have never had those years where I started smoking and kept smoking, and allowed that to be, something that I did. Because the fact that I feel like I'm never going to die. I feel like I'm never going to age. I'm never going to die. And I challenge, and I'm rude to the universe sometimes in this aspect, where I taunt the universe, saying I'm never going to die. You created somebody that can't die. Like, what kind of life is that to live if I can't be of use to other people? When I go through those moments, it's just my little window into my personal shadow work. How reverse aging does have its own demons. And so you have to be consciously aware. And so that is part of the purpose. That is part of the purpose if you are going to learn reverse aging. I think there's a car coming up the driveway. Anyways, so we've talked about 1 through 2, through 3. And so the archetypal world, and so that in turn that helps you to get a 5th dimensional perspective above the structures in the 4th dimension that create these valences. That the 4th dimensional valences will always have a limitation to them, and we will only be able to perceive up to those limitations, and that will be in the entirety of our perception. And so in each moment, since time is essentially an illusion, in each moment we will be privy to a little bit of that information, and with higher dimensional awareness you will be able to consistently be able to see that information without the universe having to repeat it over and over and try to show you over and over. Once your mind heart coherence has told the universe, I get it, it's in my gnosis now, I see that one little detail, that's when time starts to speed up, and different clues and details from your resonance field start to come in, and that will have many multiple dimensions. It will be little subtle cues, it will be different times and emotions, synchronizing with physical things, beneficial things, constructive things, resistant things, painful, fearful, hateful things, that you have to process, and people. Okay, more people that are supposed to be part of your soul tribe. Okay, but your resonance field has to sort out all that other karmic energy to introduce all the people that are not necessarily in your soul tribe, or at least the world you're trying to create. So the world you're trying to create, I guess the point is, the world you're trying to create, 4th dimensionally and 3rd dimensionally, is relative to the world you're trying to create 1 dimensionally and 2 dimensionally. And the clarification in the middle, if you're trying to go this route of reverse aging or understand the illusion of perception, the illusion of appearance, once you have gained the subtle understanding of the path of what your resonance field is trying to show you between those 4 dimensions, you'll be able to 5th dimensionally, transmute into the next level, which I really wanted to talk about quantum mechanics and string theory. One second. We've got 32 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, so maybe I can get a little bit into this. Okay, so I'm not I'm not an expert. Obviously, I'm not a scientist about string theory and quantum mechanics, but I do understand a lot. I've understood enough from when I was a child in order to understand the usefulness of it. And so how quantum mechanics is useful to the mind is to get you out of those limited, stuck 4th dimensional valences, those stuck on the surface archetypes. The surface archetypes, if you watched my video of what an archetypal world is, surface archetypes are just what we see with no emotion attached to them and no brain activity. But the first clue is to understand that once we see anything, I see a spoon, and it wasn't like I was intentionally trying to create this, like, oh, let me, I need to see this one symbol. I need to see, I carry this symbol everywhere around with me. Like say if someone was to draw the anarchy symbol on and stamp it on their backpack, they carry it around everywhere with them. Okay, so that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when we understand the universe is trying to show us a symbol. In this case, it's a spoon. Okay, so it's whatever's relative along that time. It could be as simple, archetypally speaking, to how relative the spoon is to the cup, and we all know the cup is a vessel for containment or representing the containment of emotions. So we're spooning out. This is just an example. This is what the archetypal world teaches us. Now, you can be anything. It can be one of the common archetypes that the universe uses is like different kinds of bugs. So you have butterflies, you have bees, and then you have flies. 3 different kinds of flying bugs that represent 3 different kinds of archetypes. And so So when we exercise that into our analytical mind and we use that as subconscious information, the mind starts to create a rhythm, and this rhythm allows more or different information to come in faster, that spells out this story the universe is trying to teach you, which is why we want to write stuff down. Now you can also develop, obviously most of us, I'm sure, you can probably relate with this, develop this technique where we don't write things down, we just simply go with the flow, and that is a part of our memory and our imagination. Um, Now, the only thing with that is that you risk the universe having to show you this thing over and over and over again, in different lights, because you're just simply not getting it. And there are ways you can ask the universe, you know, give me a sign, letting me know if I am not getting it, and the universe will happily give you a sign. Whether it's a wind gust, or maybe that wind gust brings a leaf into your car window, or stuff like this. Into the slit of your car window, things that are uncanny, that you know that are not mistakes. The universe will get pretty creepy and it will show you things. Um, and as long as you remember that it's always trying to show you something, it's constantly trying to speed up time, with the given exception of, like like right now, time is Mercury in retro, Mercury in retrograde. It's going to go away, I think, on the 8th or the 9th, something like that, right before the 10th and the 11th, which is going to be huge for the collective. Huge revelations, some secrets are going to come out. It's just that time. I think with the moon, full moon, it's either the full moon or the new moon. Can't remember exactly, but the moon being specific in Aquarius, I believe, or Leo. Leo and Aquarius conjuncting each other. It doesn't, see, the actual facts don't matter. The universe is making it so that I can't be clear on this, so that all the information is relative to the vast awareness that has the potential of receiving it from this channel, from the channeling, not just the YouTube channel, the channeling, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video. So developing a groove for all this randomness, this vagueness, and this developing a rhythm for this sort of brain activity, this sort of mental emotional activity, interacting with correspondence with the physical world and the archetypal world, that is going to help condition the quantum mind into constantly reverberating the affirmation back just as strong as your core reverberation of this truth and this frequency, to manifest this physicality and this archetypal reality and this structure, and evolve it in the way that you want to. So essentially, I'm teaching you a lot more, or I'm alluding to a lot more than just reverse aging, but essentially, dynamically speaking, it starts with reverse age. Because if someone was to teach you this in the beginning of your career, in the beginning of your life, you would have a lot more control on the physicality of your life, and the energies that that are allowed to be there, and understanding of what your limitations are. So I hope that made sense. And let me know down in the comments. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. This is the Watcher's Alchemy. Leave me a thumbs up. My name is Ryan, and ask me a question. Ask me a question in my community posts, when I post there. I'd like to be very interactive with brainstorming different spiritual approaches to questions that a lot of people have. Questions such as the twin flame question, which no one seems to ask me anymore. Questions like, can I do magic and still love God? There's many questions people have out there, that are sort of the staple into why people like me put out this sort of information. But it's, without your interaction, I can't rightfully step through that realm and help to break down that valence barrier of limitation. So I need you, just as much as you need the information, and its synchronicities. And I hope that makes sense. And if it does, hit the thumbs up. All right, I've said enough. My name is Ryan. This is the Watcher's Alchemy. I'll catch you later.